What's up, everybody? Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax. I hope everybody is doing great tonight. So as minor league seasons are coming to a close in 2021, I started to do my end of the season research on all prospects in every Bowman product 2017 to present. So I've made it almost halfway through 2019, and I found a few sleeper prospects along the way that I wanted to share with you in this video. Now, I don't see any of these players turning into superstars, but I think for the price, there could be some significant return on investment if they perform well in the Arizona Fall League this year, in 2022 spring training, or during the 2022 season. The 5 players we're looking at today have Bowman Chrome Autos anywhere between $5 and $30, so you won't break the bank with these guys. And before we jump into the names, I wanted to describe how I'm going to be breaking down each player on this video and in future sleeper prospect videos. So you can see I created a graph that has 8 different variables that each prospect is graded on: cost, batting average, home runs, stolen bases, K percentage, ISOP, WRC plus, and finally age and level, with cost being current comps. Now, some of you may be aware of the different sabermetrics that I'm using, and some of you may not, so I'm going to explain the more complicated ones. So some of the more complicated sabermetrics that I'm using in these graphs are K percentage, ISOP, and WRC. And I'm going to take a quick second to explain those 3. K percentage is the measure a hitter strikes out per plate appearance. An average K percentage right now in Major League Baseball is around 20. The closer to 0, the better, and the further away from 20, the worse. I would consider a K percentage under 10 elite and a K percentage over 30 terrible. Next is isolated power, or ISOP, and it measures a hitter's raw power by creating a batting average with extra base hits only. That would be doubles, triples, and home runs. The league average ISOP is around 140, with an excellent ISOP being around 250 and a terrible ISOP being around 80. Let's take Bobby Witt Jr. for example, one of the top prospects in baseball, who's currently carrying an astonishing 285 ISOP. Hopefully that puts the numbers in perspective that we're using. So the most complicated stat is WRC+, which is weighted runs created plus. It takes the statistic runs created and it adds external factors like ballpark and era. I usually use WRC plus to rate a player's overall performance compared to his peers. The league average WRC plus is around 100, so you can get an idea of how well a player is performing based on that league average. Again, to give you a better understanding, I'll use Bobby Witt Jr., who is carrying a WRC plus of 147, making him a pretty elite player. I also used a color-coded point system that applies a score to each stat. Bad is -1, average, no points, good, +1, and great, +2. The scores are then totaled up into the purple area, where each player is given a grade out of 16 possible points. Okay, that should be enough explaining for now. Let's jump into the 5 players that I chose. Coming in at 5th place in this video with an overall score of 6 out of 16 is Greg Jones out of 2019 Bowman Draft. Jones is an elite athlete in the Tampa Bay organization who has the tools to play either shortstop or center field. And it's most likely going to be center field because Wander Franco is going to play shortstop for many years to come. Jones also carries the highly coveted speed to power package, which is one of my favorite combinations in the hobby. His autos are currently selling for around $20. As you can see from the graph, Jones is doing everything exceptionally well except for not striking out. Through only 2 levels this year in high A and double A, he's carrying a hefty 30.2% K rate. If Jones wants to wake up from sleeper status, he'll need to adjust his approach a little bit and make some more quality contact. And on a positive note, Jones has the most stolen bases of any player on this list. And I think he's also the most elite athlete on this list. Coming in at number 4 with a score of 7 out of 16 is Joe Perez, possibly one of the most underrated prospects in all of baseball. Perez was sidelined his entire first professional season due to Tommy John surgery. In 2019, he had an awful debut in the New York Penn League, and he missed the entire 2020 season due to the pandemic. So in order to make up for his awful history, Perez climbed 3 levels all the way to Double A in 1 season. Joe is a fresh 22 with an August birthday, having played the majority of this season as a 21-year-old. You can find Joe Perez Bowman Chrome First Autos in 2017 Bowman Draft for around $20. Let's take a look at our ranking on him. Perez is a bat-first third baseman who took a ding on stolen bases and K percentage, but gained a lot of points in ISO-P and age per level. I put an asterisk by the 22 because, as I mentioned before, Perez just turned 22 a month ago. Right now, he's showing characteristics of a contact power hitter with a 288 average, 17 home runs, and an ISO-P of 206. He also brings home the award for most home runs on this list. Perez may be a guy we see take off in the Arizona Fall League this year or in spring training next season. In third place, we have Lolo Sanchez, a 22-year-old outfield prospect in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. Sanchez is bringing a total score of 9 out of 16 with the help of some above-average wheels. You can find Lolo Sanchez autos in 2018 Bowman Chrome for around $5. The top 3 stats padding Lolo's score are cost, stolen bases at 29, and a knack for contact with a low 18.2% K rate. Sanchez is another speed power potential player, but I'm really eager to see what he does in AA. His batting average of 251 pulled his overall score down a bit, but it's worth mentioning that his BAIP was low, below league average this year at 274. Sanchez, just like Perez, is a candidate that we could see in the Arizona Fall League this year, also in 2022 spring training. Our final 2 players both scored a 10 out of 16, putting them at the top of our list. We'll start with our youngest player and most expensive player on the list, Brayan Rocchio. So Rocchio is a switch-hitting shortstop prospect in the Indians organization who played through 2 levels this year, leading him to AA as a 20-year-old. Rocchio is a lock to stay at shortstop, with the possibility of being a 2020 player in the MLB. You can find his autos in 2019 Bowman Chrome for about $30. If you look at Rocchio's chart, you can see that he has no bad or average grades. The closest grade to average would be cost, which you could argue. 3 years ago, I think a $30 auto would have been classified as average, but in this current market, I consider it good. Where Rocchio really stands out is his age per level. At the age of 20 in AA, he's holding a 212 ISO-P, which is outstanding. I probably would have given Rocchio the number 1 spot, but he missed it by 2 WRC plus points to the number 1 player. Finally, at number 1, we have our WRC leader, 23-year-old Jared Triolo, a third base prospect in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So Jared is pretty good at everything except getting promoted. He has proven that high A is a bit too easy, and he's ready to take on some higher quality pitching. We may get to see that this fall if he plays in the Arizona Fall League. You can find Jared Triolo autos in 2019 Bowman Draft for about $10. So Triolo has had one of the best offensive seasons of any player on this list, but he is also the oldest per level on this list. We really need to see how he matches up against better pitching. Over the course of this season, he's demonstrated an above-average contact rate with a batting average of 302, an above-average ISO-P of 175, and a little bit of speed grabbing 24 bags. It also may be about a decade before we see anyone at third base in Pittsburgh besides Brian Hayes. I'm really hoping to see Triolo jump into a second position of outfield or second base during the Arizona Fall League or in 2022 spring training. Unless there's something bigger at play, the only thing really holding Triolo back right now is the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So that's going to wrap up tonight's video. If you guys really enjoy my content, be sure to check out my Facebook group, Let's Talk Wax Baseball Card Prospecting. I post a lot of cool stuff in there as well. Also, if there's any sleepers that you guys like, be sure to put them in the comments so I can check them out. And before we go, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my new content. Everybody have a great night.